The Empire's arrival. The morning sky over Earth turned dark as a massive alien ship loomed above the planet. It was no ordinary sight. The ship was enormous, stretching miles wide, blocking sunlight, and casting a shadow over cities below. People everywhere froze in fear, staring at the sky. News channels quickly switched to live coverage, showing the mysterious vessel hovering silently. Then, without warning, a deep, cold voice echoed across the planet. It didn't matter what language people spoke, the message was clear. The voice boomed through radios, televisions, and even directly into people's minds. "This is the Empire," the voice declared. "You will surrender your world and pledge loyalty to us. Refusal will lead to your complete destruction. You have 7 days to comply." The world fell into chaos. People panicked, running through the streets, looting stores, and crying out in fear. Governments held emergency meetings, trying to decide what to do. Could this be a bluff? Or was the threat real? Far away, in a quiet military base deep in the mountains, Captain Daniel Rice sat in a small room, watching the broadcast. A retired Space Fleet officer, Daniel had seen conflict before, but nothing like this. He wasn't sure how Earth could fight back against a ship of that size. Still, he refused to believe surrender was the only option. As the day went on, scientists and experts scrambled to analyze the ship. At a research facility, Dr. Evelyn Carter, a brilliant physicist, noticed strange energy patterns coming from the alien vessel. These signals suggested that the ship wasn't as invincible as it seemed. Excited by her discovery, she contacted the military with the information. Meanwhile, Daniel received an encrypted message on his old military communicator. The message was brief but alarming. "The Empire isn't bluffing. They've destroyed worlds before, but they can be stopped. Trust no one but yourself." The message ended with coordinates pointing to a hidden bunker in the desert. Daniel didn't know who had sent it, but something in his gut told him to follow the lead. Without wasting time, he packed his gear and headed out, leaving behind the safety of the base. Back in the cities, fear was spreading fast. Small riots broke out as people blamed their governments for not acting quickly. Military forces were deployed to maintain order, but even the soldiers looked uncertain. Everyone was asking the same question: could Earth survive this? The Empire's ship remained silent after its initial ultimatum, but its presence was enough to keep the world on edge. Strange, glowing drones descended from the ship, scanning the planet and marking key locations. People watched in horror as the drones hovered near military bases, power plants, and cities. At the same time, a secret meeting was held at the United Nations. Leaders from across the globe debated whether to surrender or fight. Some argued that resisting the Empire would only bring more destruction. Others, like General Ond from the Middle East, insisted that humanity couldn't give up without a fight. "This is our home," General Ahmed said firmly. "If we surrender now, we lose everything. We must stand together and fight." In the desert, Daniel arrived at the bunker listed in the mysterious message. It was an old, abandoned military outpost, but the doors slid open as he approached. Inside, he found advanced equipment and a holographic map of Earth. A voice greeted him, a mechanical tone that sounded neither human nor alien. "You are here because you have the courage to fight," the voice said. "The Empire's ship has a weakness, but finding it will not be easy." Daniel frowned, looking around the empty bunker. "Who are you? How do you know this?" "I am someone who wants the Empire to fall," the voice replied. "You must gather a team. Time is running out." Before Daniel could ask more questions, the bunker's screen lit up with live footage from the Empire's ship. Alien creatures stood in a vast control room, speaking in a strange language. One of them pointed to a holographic image of Earth, and the scene shifted to show destruction on an unimaginable scale. Entire cities were shown burning, their ashes scattering into space. The screen went dark. The mechanical voice spoke again. "They will do this to your planet if you do not act. Trust the scientists. Trust your instincts. And run, while you still can." The message ended, leaving Daniel alone in the silence of the bunker. He clenched his fists, determination burning in his eyes. If the Empire thought Earth would bow down so easily, they were wrong. He would find a way to fight, even if it seemed impossible. As Daniel left the bunker, he glanced up at the night sky. The Empire's ship remained motionless, its shadow stretching across the horizon. But he knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. Earth's secret plan. Daniel Reyes returned to the hidden bunker, his mind racing. The weight of the world sat heavily on his shoulders, but he didn't have time to dwell on the fear. The clock was ticking. The Empire's ultimatum had given Earth only 7 days, and one of those days was already gone. The bunker's voice spoke again as Daniel paced. "Your planet has scientists capable of finding the Empire's weakness. Seek them. Protect them." Daniel's thoughts immediately went to Dr. Evelyn Carter. She was well known in the scientific community for her work on energy manipulation. If anyone could figure out how to fight back, it would be her. He set out immediately, driving through the night in a military vehicle. Meanwhile, at a secure research facility, Evelyn sat in front of a large screen, studying the strange energy patterns from the alien ship. Her team was tense, working in silence. The data they'd gathered showed a faint but irregular pulse in the ship's energy core. It was unlike anything they'd seen before. "This isn't a perfect system," Evelyn muttered to herself, squinting at the data. "They're powerful, yes, but nothing's invincible." Her assistant, Raj, leaned over her shoulder. "If we can figure out the source of this fluctuation, maybe we can disrupt it. But we'd need something specific, a mineral or an element they haven't accounted for." Before Evelyn could respond, the facility's alarms blared. Cameras showed alien drones approaching, their glowing blue eyes scanning the building. Panic erupted as soldiers prepared to defend the facility. Evelyn quickly saved her work onto a small data drive and tucked it into her pocket. "We need to leave," she told Raj. "If they capture this research, we're done." Outside, Daniel arrived just as the alien drones began their assault. He grabbed his rifle and joined the soldiers, firing at the approaching machines. The drones were fast, weaving through the air and dodging bullets. One of them released a pulse that sent a shockwave through the building, shattering windows. Daniel fought his way inside, searching for Evelyn. He found her and Raj in the lab, just as another drone crashed through the wall. Thinking quickly, Daniel threw a grenade, destroying the machine in a shower of sparks. "We're leaving now," he said firmly, helping Evelyn to her feet. Evelyn hesitated, looking back at her equipment. "But the research." "It's not worth your life," Daniel cut her off. "Grab what you can and move." The trio escaped through a back exit, climbing into Daniel's vehicle. As they sped away, the facility behind them erupted in flames. Drones continued to pursue them, firing bright energy bolts that barely missed. Daniel swerved the vehicle through rough terrain, using his military training to stay ahead of their attackers. "Who are you?" Evelyn demanded as she clutched the data drive tightly. "Someone who's not ready to give up," Daniel replied. "You're the key to stopping them, Doc. Whatever you found back there, it might be our only chance." Hours later, they'd reached a safe house in the mountains. It was an old, abandoned structure stocked with basic supplies. Daniel locked the doors and checked for any tracking devices, while Evelyn spread out her notes and data. "I noticed something in the Empire's energy core," Evelyn explained. "It's not stable. There's a tiny fluctuation in their power source, but it's shielded. If we could get close enough, we might be able to disrupt it." "Close enough?" Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Are you saying we'd need to get on that ship?" "Yes," she replied bluntly. "And to do that, we need a material that can penetrate their shields. Something unique to Earth." Raj, who had been quiet until now, suddenly spoke up. "There's a mineral in South America, an unusual ore found deep in the mountains. Its properties might be strong enough, but mining it would be risky." Risky is all we've got, Daniel said. We'll need a team. The next day, Daniel called in a few trusted allies. Marcus, a former demolitions expert, Lena, a skilled hacker, and Sergeant Ortiz, a hardened soldier who had worked with Daniel in the past. Together, they reviewed Evelyn's findings. Marcus whistled, leaning back in his chair. So let me get this straight. We're going to steal some rare rock, build a weapon out of it, and somehow get on that massive alien ship without getting blown to bits. Pretty much, Daniel replied with a smirk. You in? Marcus grinned. Are you kidding? I wouldn't miss this for the world. As the team prepared for the mission, news reports showed worsening conditions around the globe. The Empire's drones had begun targeting power plants and communication networks, leaving entire regions in darkness. Panic was spreading, and governments were struggling to maintain control. The Empire's voice returned, broadcasting another chilling message. Your time is running out. Surrender now, or face extinction. Daniel turned off the broadcast and looked at his team. We don't have time to wait. If we're going to stop them, we need to move now. The team loaded up their gear, ready to head into the mountains. Daniel glanced at Evelyn, who seemed nervous but determined. Don't worry, Doc, he said. We've got this. But as they drove into the night, the shadow of the Empire's ship loomed above, a constant reminder of the danger ahead. Betrayal and hope. The journey to the South American mountains was long and grueling. The team moved under the cover of darkness to avoid detection by the Empire's drones, which had become increasingly active. Every checkpoint they passed showed the same grim picture: abandoned towns, smoldering wreckage, and frightened civilians hiding wherever they could. Evelyn Carter sat in the back of the military vehicle, staring at her data drive. She had the calculations needed to exploit the Empire's weakness, but doubts gnawed at her mind. What if it wasn't enough? What if Earth was already doomed? You're quiet back there, Daniel Rice said from the driver's seat, his eyes scanning the horizon for threats. You okayed, Doc? I just don't know if this will work, Evelyn admitted. The mineral might not be strong enough. And even if we get it, we still have to find a way onto their ship. Daniel smirked. One problem at a time. First, we get the mineral. Then we figure out the rest. Trust me, this isn't my first impossible mission. The team finally reached the base of the mountains where the rare mineral was located. Marcus, the demolitions expert, studied the terrain and pointed out a cave system that seemed to match Raj's research. This is it, Marcus said, hoisting his gear. The ore should be deep inside, but caves like these aren't exactly friendly. As they prepared to enter, Lena, the hacker, stayed behind to monitor their communications. I'll keep an eye out for drones. If I see anything, you'll hear from me. The cave was dark and damp, with narrow tunnels twisting in all directions. The deeper they went, the stranger it became. The walls glowed faintly with an otherworldly light, and the air was filled with a faint hum. It was as if the earth itself was alive, protecting its treasure. After hours of navigating the labyrinth, the team finally found what they were looking for. The mineral veins sparkled like liquid fire, embedded deep in the rock. Marcus grinned as he set up the mining equipment. Beautiful, isn't it? He said, chipping away at the rock. Worth dying for, maybe. As the team worked, Raj noticed something odd on his scanner. The readings showed unusual movement near the surface of the cave. Guys, we might have company, he warned. Back at the surface, Lena's monitors lit up with warning signals. Dozens of Empire drones were closing in fast. She grabbed her radio. Daniel, we've got incoming. You need to move, now. Not until we have what we came for, Daniel replied. Keep them busy up there. Lena clenched her jaw and began hacking into the drone systems, trying to disrupt their communications. She managed to take a few offline, but there were too many. The drones started firing at the cave entrance, collapsing parts of the tunnel. Inside, the team scrambled to collect as much of the mineral as they could before the entire cave came down. Evelyn clutched a sample tightly, her heart pounding as debris rained around them. "Time to go," Daniel shouted, grabbing Evelyn by the arm and pulling her toward the exit. They emerged into chaos. The drones were swarming, firing energy bolts that scorched the ground. Lena had taken cover behind the vehicle, frantically working on her laptop. "I bought us a little time, but we need to move," she yelled. The team fought their way to the vehicle, barely making it out as the drones continued their assault. As they sped away, Evelyn looked back at the glowing cave, now crumbling under the onslaught. "Did we get enough?" she asked, her voice shaking. "We'll make it work," Daniel replied. "We have to." The team returned to their safe house, battered but alive. They immediately began refining the mineral, preparing it for use. Evelyn worked tirelessly, her hands trembling as she combined the ore with a prototype device. But not everyone was as focused. Marcus had been acting strangely since they left the cave. He avoided eye contact and stayed quiet, which was unusual for him. Late that night, Daniel found him speaking into a hidden communicator. "What the hell are you doing?" Daniel demanded, pointing his weapon at Marcus. Marcus froze, then sighed. "I didn't have a choice. They promised me my family would be safe if I gave them your location. You betrayed us." Daniel's voice was cold, his grip tightening on the gun. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," Marcus pleaded. "But they're everywhere. We can't win this." Before Daniel could respond, an explosion rocked the safe house. The Empire had found them. Chaos erupted as drones stormed the building, firing at anything that moved. Daniel and Ortiz held them off while Evelyn and Raj grabbed the equipment. Marcus, consumed with guilt, sacrificed himself to destroy a drone that was about to kill Lena. The survivors barely escaped with their lives, retreating to another hidden location. The betrayal had cost them dearly, but it also fueled their determination. As they regrouped, Evelyn received a strange transmission on her communicator. The voice was alien but calm. "You're closer than you think," it said. "If you want to win, I can help." "Who are you?" Evelyn asked, her voice trembling. "I am a scientist from the Empire. I do not agree with what they're doing. If you trust me, I can guide you inside their ship." The message ended abruptly, leaving the team stunned. For the first time, they had a glimmer of hope, but also more questions. "Do we trust them?" Lena asked. Daniel looked at his team, his face hard but determined. "We don't have a choice. Let's finish this." The dangerous mission. The safe house was quiet, the air heavy with tension. The loss of Marcus weighed on the group, but they had no time to grieve. The Empire's presence was growing stronger by the hour, and the mysterious alien scientist's offer was their only lead. "You trust someone from the Empire?" Ortiz asked, pacing the room. "For all we know, it's a trap." Daniel leaned against the table, his face calm, but his voice firm. "If this scientist wanted us dead, they could have done it already. We've got the mineral, but without their help, it's useless. We need to get inside that ship." Evelyn, still shaken by the transmission, nodded. "They gave us coordinates. It's a remote location in the Arctic, a possible weak point in the ship's defenses." "The Arctic?" Lena raised an eyebrow. "That's one way to keep it secret." Raj studied the coordinates on his laptop. "It lines up with their drone patterns. They've been avoiding that area. If there's an entrance, it's there." The journey to the Arctic was brutal. The team loaded their gear onto an old military plane and flew north, battling freezing winds and the constant fear of being detected. Evelyn worked quietly on her prototype, carefully embedding the refined mineral into the device. "What's the worst that could happen if this thing doesn't work?" Lena asked, trying to lighten the mood. Evelyn glanced at her and managed a weak smile. "The ship doesn't explode, and we all die." Lena chuckled nervously. "Great. Love those odds." The team landed on a frozen tundra, the howling wind biting through their thick jackets. The alien scientist's instructions had been clear. The entrance was hidden beneath an ancient glacier, camouflaged by advanced technology. Using specialized equipment, the team scanned the area until they found an energy signature buried deep under the ice. Daniel and Ortiz used explosives to carve a path, revealing a shimmering alien doorway. The sight of it was both mesmerizing and terrifying. "This is it," Evelyn whispered. "No turning back now." As they stepped through the doorway, they found themselves in a dimly lit tunnel made of sleek alien metal. The walls pulsed faintly with energy, casting an eerie glow. It was a stark contrast to the freezing wasteland outside. "We're inside," Daniel said into his communicator, addressing the alien scientist. "Now what?" The voice replied calmly. "The Empire's power core is heavily guarded. You must reach the central chamber. Follow the path ahead, but beware, there are traps designed to stop intruders." The team moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the metallic corridor. As they advanced, the air grew warmer, and the hum of machinery grew louder. Suddenly, a section of the floor lit up and began to vibrate. "Move," Daniel shouted, pulling Evelyn back just as the floor collapsed, revealing a pit of spinning blades beneath. The team jumped to safety, hearts pounding. "That's one way to keep people out," Lena muttered, wiping sweat from her brow. They pressed on, navigating through a maze of deadly traps. Laser grids, electrified walls, and rooms that shifted their layout. Each challenge pushed them to their limits, but the team's combined skills kept them alive. Finally, they reached a massive chamber filled with towering alien machines. In the center was the power core, a swirling sphere of energy encased in a translucent shell. It pulsed with a rhythm that was both beautiful and ominous. "There it is," Evelyn said, her voice trembling. "The heart of the beast." The alien scientist's voice crackled over the communicator. "Place the device at the base of the core. Once activated, it will destabilize the energy flow. You'll have 5 minutes to escape before the core collapses." 5 minutes. Ortiz groaned. "That's cutting it close." Evelyn moved toward the core, her hands steadied despite the fear in her eyes. As she worked, the room suddenly filled with a deafening alarm. Red lights flashed, and metallic footsteps echoed in the distance. "They know we're here," Lena shouted, pulling out her weapon. Alien guards poured into the chamber, their sleek armor reflecting the pulsing light of the core. The team fought fiercely, holding their ground as Evelyn completed the device. "It's ready," she yelled, slamming the final piece into place. The device lit up, and the core began to flicker. Daniel grabbed her arm. "Time to go." The team sprinted back through the corridors as the ship began to shake violently. The once quiet halls were now filled with alarms and flashing lights. Explosions erupted behind them as the core's energy destabilized. As they neared the exit, they encountered a final obstacle, a squad of heavily armed alien soldiers blocking their path. Ortiz and Lena provided cover fire, while Daniel led Evelyn and Raj to safety. "Go," Ortiz shouted, holding the line. "I'll catch up." The team barely made it out of the ship as it erupted in a blinding explosion. The shockwave sent them tumbling into the snow, but they were alive. The alien vessel tilted and crashed into the ice, its massive structure splitting apart. As the dust settled, Evelyn stared at the burning wreckage. "Did we do it?" Daniel nodded, though his expression was grim. "For now." Just then, the alien scientist's voice returned, crackling through Evelyn's communicator. "The Empire will not forget this. Reinforcements are already on their way." Evelyn looked at Daniel, fear in her eyes. "What do we do now?" Daniel's jaw tightened as he stood, helping her to her feet. "We prepare for the next fight." The camera panned up to the night sky, where faint lights could be seen in the distance, more Empire ships on the horizon. Infiltration. The Arctic air was still thick with smoke from the destroyed ship, but there was no time to celebrate. The alien scientist's warning rang in Daniel's ears. Reinforcements are already on their way. Back at a makeshift camp near the crash site, Evelyn studied the device she had used to destabilize the power core. Despite the team's victory, her calculation showed a grim reality. The explosion had destroyed the ship, but the energy burst had sent a signal into space, a beacon summoning the Empire's fleet. "We have less time than we thought," Evelyn said, her voice heavy with exhaustion. The next wave could arrive in days. Daniel clenched his fists, scanning the frozen horizon. "Then we hit them first. We've got one shot to get ahead of this." The alien scientist contacted them again, their voice steady but urgent. "You have proven resourceful. If you trust me, I will help you infiltrate the Empire's mothership before it arrives. It is the center of their operations. Without it, their forces will scatter." Evelyn hesitated, glancing at Daniel. "How do we know you're not leading us into a trap?" "You do not," the voice admitted. "But consider this. If the Empire succeeds, your planet will burn. I have seen it happen. Trust me, or face extinction." Daniel nodded. "We don't have a choice. Where's this mothership?" The scientist sent coordinates to a location in deep space. "There is a hidden shipyard orbiting a dying star. That is where you must strike." The journey. The team boarded a stolen alien transport ship recovered from the crash site. Lena hacked into its systems, ensuring it was untraceable. The interior of the ship was unsettling. Smooth metallic walls pulsed with a faint blue light, and strange symbols glowed on the consoles. "I'll never get used to this alien tech," Ortiz muttered, gripping his weapon tightly. Evelyn sat at the ship's controls, guided by the alien scientist. "It's incredible. This ship can manipulate gravity fields. We'll reach the coordinates in hours." The journey through space was eerily quiet. The vast expanse of stars seemed endless, yet the weight of their mission was suffocating. As they approached the dying star, the shipyard came into view. It was massive, a floating fortress bristling with weapons and swarming with smaller alien ships. "Looks like they're preparing for war," Lena whispered, her voice filled with dread. The alien scientist guided them to a hidden docking bay. "This entrance is rarely monitored. Once inside, you must move quickly. The power core of the mothership is in the central chamber. Disabling it will cripple their operations." The infiltration. The docking bay was eerily empty as the team disembarked. The walls were lined with strange organic-looking machinery, humming softly. Every step echoed, the sound amplified by the oppressive silence. "Keep it quiet," Daniel ordered, his voice low. "We're not here to fight, just to destroy." As they navigated the labyrinth of corridors, Lena hacked into the ship's systems, disabling cameras and redirecting patrols. But the deeper they went, the more alien the surroundings became. The walls seemed to shift and pulse, as if alive. "This place gives me the creeps," Ortiz muttered. Evelyn paused, her eyes fixed on a glowing panel. "This technology. It's like nothing we've ever seen. It's almost organic, like it's growing." Before she could analyze further, Lena's voice cut through the silence. "We've got company, guards heading our way." A narrow escape. The team ducked into a maintenance shaft, barely avoiding detection. Through a small vent, they watched as alien soldiers marched past. Their tall, insect-like frames moved with precision, their weapons glowing ominously. Evelyn whispered, "They're not just soldiers. They're connected, like a hive mind." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then we make sure they never get the chance to use it against Earth." They pressed on, finally reaching the central chamber. The sight before them was both breathtaking and terrifying. The mothership's power core. It was a massive sphere of swirling energy, suspended in midair by glowing tendrils that seemed to grow from the walls. "That's our target," Evelyn said, pulling out a modified version of the destabilization device. The sabotage. As Evelyn worked quickly to plant the device, Lena monitored the security systems. "We've got about 2 minutes before they realize we're here," she warned. Then make those 2 minutes count, Daniel said, keeping his weapon ready. Evelyn's hands trembled as she connected the device to the core's tendrils. The energy pulsing through them made the air around her crackle with heat. "I need one more connection," she said, sweat dripping down her face. Just as she finished, the alarms blared. The chamber's doors slammed open, and alien soldiers poured in, their weapons firing bursts of energy. "Time's up," Ortiz shouted, laying down cover fire. Daniel grabbed Evelyn and pulled her toward the exit. "The device is set. Move." A race against time. The team sprinted back through the twisting corridors as explosions rocked the ship. The power core destabilized, sending shockwaves through the structure. Lights flickered, and the walls groaned as if the ship itself were alive and in pain. 5 minutes until detonation, Evelyn said, glancing at her timer. They reached the docking bay, only to find their escape ship surrounded by guards. Daniel didn't hesitate, tossing a grenade that cleared a path. "Go, go, go," he shouted. They boarded the ship and launched just as the mothership began to implode. From the safety of space, they watched as the massive structure crumbled, the dying star swallowing it whole. A Pyrrhic victory. The team sat in silence, staring at the wreckage. The alien scientist's voice returned. "You have dealt a significant blow to the Empire, but this war is far from over. They will not stop." Daniel turned to his team. "Neither will we." The camera panned out, showing Earth glowing faintly in the distance, and beyond it, the ominous silhouettes of more Empire ships on the horizon. The final stand. Earth's skies were no longer a place of peace. Massive alien ships began to descend through the atmosphere, blotting out the sun. The Empire's retaliation was swift and brutal. Cities crumbled under orbital bombardments, and the sound of sirens became a grim symphony for a planet on the brink of collapse. Daniel Rice and his team returned to Earth only to find chaos. Governments had splintered, and what remained of the military was scattered and disorganized. Yet, amidst the ruins, Daniel saw something remarkable. Ordinary people rising to fight. Farmers turned fields into fortresses, engineers built makeshift weapons, and entire neighborhoods united to resist. "This is it," Daniel said to his team. "The Empire thinks we're weak. They're about to learn how wrong they are." Rallying the resistance. Daniel's first move was to unite the fragmented forces. With Evelyn's help, they broadcast a message to every corner of the planet, urging humanity to fight as one. "This is Captain Daniel Rice. The Empire thinks we'll kneel, but we won't. We've already destroyed one of their ships, and we can destroy more. If you can fight, join us. If you can build, arm us. If you can think, outsmart them. This is our planet, and we're not giving it up." The message spread like wildfire. Resistance groups from across the globe began to converge on a secret base in the Rocky Mountains, where Daniel had set up operations. It was a chaotic blend of soldiers, civilians, scientists, and hackers, but they all shared one goal: survival. Preparing for battle. Evelyn worked tirelessly on a new weapon, using the rare mineral they had retrieved to create a powerful energy disruptor. "This device can disable their shields," she explained to the gathered leaders. "But it's only effective within a limited range. We'll need to get dangerously close to their command ship." Ortiz grinned, loading his rifle. "Close is what we do best." Meanwhile, Lena and Raj coordinated with hackers worldwide, infiltrating the Empire's communication systems. They'd managed to intercept battle plans, discovering that the Empire's forces were targeting 3 key locations, Earth's largest power plants. If these were destroyed, humanity's remaining defenses would collapse. "We have to split up," Daniel decided. "The main team will attack the command ship. Smaller squads will defend the power plants. We hit them hard, and we hit them everywhere." The battle begins. The Empire launched its assault at dawn. Alien ships unleashed energy blasts that tore through Earth's defenses, while ground troops landed in cities, wreaking havoc. Yet the resistance fought back with unrelenting determination. Improvised weapons, guerrilla tactics, and sheer human will turn every street into a battlefield. In the midst of the chaos, Daniel's team boarded a captured alien transport and headed toward the Empire's command ship. The massive vessel hovered over the Atlantic Ocean, its shadow stretching for miles. "This is it," Daniel said, gripping the controls. "We take out their leader, and we give Earth a fighting chance." The assault on the command ship. The team infiltrated the command ship under heavy fire. Evelyn carried the energy disruptor, her every step guided by determination. The corridors of the ship were eerily familiar, organic walls pulsing with energy, the same hive-like structure they had seen before. As they approached the command center, Lena hacked into the ship's systems, temporarily disabling the security grid. "You've got 10 minutes before they reboot," she warned. The command center was a massive chamber, dominated by a throne-like structure where the Empire's overseer sat. The overseer was unlike any alien they had encountered, a towering figure with elongated limbs, its body encased in shimmering armor that radiated authority. "You dare challenge the Empire?" the overseer hissed, its voice echoing in their minds. "Your defiance will cost you everything." A desperate fight. The battle in the command center was brutal. Alien guards poured in from all sides, their advanced weaponry forcing the team to fight with everything they had. Ortiz and Daniel worked together to hold the line while Evelyn set up the disruptor near the overseer's throne. The overseer watched with cold amusement. "Your resistance is admirable but futile," it said, raising a hand to unleash a devastating energy blast. Before the overseer could strike, Lena used the hacked systems to overload the ship's energy conduits, momentarily stunning the alien leader. "Now, Evelyn," Daniel shouted. Evelyn activated the disruptor, and a wave of energy rippled through the chamber. The overseer's armor began to crack, and the shields protecting the ship faltered. A sacrifice. As the ship's defenses collapsed, alarms blared throughout the vessel. The disruptor had worked, but it had also destabilized the ship's core. They had minutes before the entire vessel would explode. "Get to the transport," Daniel ordered, covering the team's retreat. Evelyn hesitated, looking back at the disruptor. It was malfunctioning, sending erratic pulses that could reverse the damage if left unchecked. "I have to stay and stabilize it," she said. "No," Daniel shouted, grabbing her arm. "If I don't, the shields could come back online," she insisted. "This is the only way." Daniel's face twisted with anguish. But he knew she was right. He gave her a nod, his voice breaking. "You're a hero, Evelyn." As the team escaped, Evelyn remained behind, her hand steady as she worked to keep the disruptor running. The last thing she saw was the overseer collapsing, its armor shattering as the ship began to implode. The aftermath. The command ship exploded in a blinding flash, taking the overseer and its forces with it. Across the planet, the remaining alien troops faltered, their hive mind disrupted. The resistance seized the moment, driving the invaders back. On a quiet hillside overlooking the battlefield, Daniel watched the alien ships retreating into space. His heart was heavy with the loss of Evelyn, but he knew her sacrifice had saved billions. Lena approached him, holding a small holographic projector. "She recorded this before we left," she said, handing it to him. The hologram flickered to life, showing Evelyn's face. "If you're seeing this, it means we did it. Keep fighting, Daniel. Earth deserves a future." Daniel nodded, his resolve stronger than ever. "We'll make sure her sacrifice wasn't in vain. This is just the beginning." Victory and a new threat. The days after the destruction of the Empire's command ship were a mix of relief and sorrow. Earth's surface was scared, its people battered, but for the first time in months, the skies were clear. Alien ships retreated to the edges of the solar system, their forces scattered and leaderless. Cities began to rebuild. Survivors shared stories of bravery, of ordinary people standing tall against overwhelming odds. Daniel Rice and his team became symbols of resistance, their names spoken with reverence across the globe. Yet beneath the surface of Earth's triumph, a new storm was brewing. The warning. Deep in a bunker, Daniel and Lena worked with Evelyn's prototype disruptor, salvaged from the wreckage of the command ship. It had become a beacon of hope, a tool that could cripple the Empire's technology if they returned. But while analyzing the device, Lena found something alarming. "Daniel," she said, her voice tight with fear. "The Empire wasn't just sending reinforcements. They've activated something bigger." "What do you mean?" Daniel asked, leaning over her shoulder. Lena pointed to a live feed of intercepted Empire transmissions. Glowing alien symbols flashed on the screen, accompanied by a chilling audio signal. The Empire wasn't just regrouping. They were summoning a harbinger, an ancient weapon rumored to destroy entire planets. "This isn't just retaliation," Lena said. "This is annihilation." Preparing for the harbinger. The news spread quickly, and panic gripped Earth once more. The harbinger was a myth, a tale whispered among the few alien defectors who had dared to speak against the Empire. It was said to be a machine, alive with a consciousness of destruction, and it would arrive within weeks. Daniel called for a global summit, bringing together the brightest minds and leaders from every nation. Evelyn's notes became the blueprint for their plan. A final stand to save Earth. "We can't face this thing head-on," Raj explained during the meeting. "The Harbinger's energy output is off the charts, but Evelyn's disruptor can buy us time, if we amplify it." "How much time?" Daniel asked. Raj hesitated. "Minutes, maybe less." "That's all we need," Daniel said. "We hit it with everything we've got. If we go down fighting." The arrival. The Harbinger entered the solar system like a black sun, its massive form blotting out the stars. Unlike the Empire's ships, it emitted no energy signature, no sound. It simply existed, a void that consumed everything in its path. As it neared Earth, the skies turned dark, and gravity itself seemed to warp. Animals fled in terror, and humans felt an inexplicable sense of dread, as if the Harbinger's presence alone was enough to crush hope. At the Resistance base, Daniel's team made final preparations. Lena and Raj worked tirelessly to boost the disruptor's power, while Ortiz armed Earth's remaining forces with salvaged alien weaponry. "This isn't just a battle," Daniel said in a final broadcast to the world. "This is survival. We fight for everyone who came before us, and for everyone who will come after. Earth doesn't fall today." The final battle. The Harbinger's descent was slow but deliberate, its massive shadow covering entire continents. Earth's forces launched everything they had: missiles, energy weapons, even orbital strikes. But the Harbinger absorbed it all. "It's like it's feeding off our attacks," Ortiz growled, firing a plasma cannon at the behemoth. "We have to get the disruptor closer," Lena shouted. "It won't work from this range." Using a fleet of captured alien transports, Daniel's team flew directly into the Harbinger's path. The closer they got, the more the air seemed to burn, the energy from the Harbinger overwhelming their systems. "Stay on course," Daniel shouted, gripping the controls as their ship shuddered violently. The sacrifice. As the Harbinger's central core came into view, a swirling vortex of light and darkness, Rage activated the amplified disruptor. The device emitted a pulse that rippled through the Harbinger, causing its movements to slow. "It's working," Lena cried. But the Harbinger retaliated, releasing a wave of energy that tore through Earth's defenses. The Resistance fleet was decimated in seconds, leaving Daniel's team as the last line of defense. Ortiz, piloting a secondary ship, made a fateful decision. "This thing isn't stopping," he said over the comms. "I'm going in." "Ortiz, no," Daniel shouted. "It's the only way. Take the shot when I clear the path." Ortiz's ship plunged into the Harbinger's core, detonating its payload. The explosion created a brief opening, and Daniel seized the moment. He fired the disruptor directly into the core, sending a shockwave that rippled across the Harbinger's massive frame. A new beginning. The Harbinger began to collapse, its dark energy imploding as the disruptor's pulse consumed it. The sky lit up with a brilliant flash, and then silence. Earth's forces stood stunned, watching as the Harbinger disintegrated, its remains scattering like ash into space. For the first time, humanity had not just survived but triumphed against the impossible. Back at the resistance base, Daniel looked at the stars, his thoughts heavy with the losses they had endured. Lena approached, holding a small hologram projector. "It's from Ortiz," she said softly. The hologram flickered to life, showing Ortiz grinning. "If you're seeing this, we did it. Don't let them take our home. Fight for every sunrise, every laugh, every stupid argument. Earth's worth it." Daniel nodded, his voice steady. "He's right. We've won today, but the fight isn't over." The camera panned out to show Earth, battered but alive, its people beginning to rebuild. In the distance, faint lights flickered, a reminder that the Empire was still out there. But for now, humanity stood tall, ready for whatever came next.